So hi everybody, my name is Alvito and welcome to the Study and Work Abroad channel, where we help students find the right study destination. So if you're an Indian student looking to study abroad, you just got to the right place. Today we're going to be talking about studying in New Zealand. Of all the destinations, especially the English-speaking advanced countries like the US, the UK, Canada, Australia and New Zealand ranks among the top 5 study destinations for Indian students. They are very welcoming to students from Asia, especially China and India. And a lot of Indian students over the last 20-25 years have been going to New Zealand to study at the highest level of qualifications in the best universities and creating really good career opportunities for themselves. This video is going to give you a complete guide about studying in New Zealand. So stay tuned, watch it till the end, because it's going to be really good information that you really need for studying in New Zealand. So let's get started. So when you think about New Zealand, a lot of thoughts come to mind. The beautiful landscape country, Maori culture, the adventure sports, and all of the mountaineering and the hiking. And most importantly for us Indians, what do we think about? We think about the New Zealand cricket team. Today I'm going to talk to you about each of these aspects. But most importantly, I'm going to be talking about the universities that you can study in New Zealand and the career options, the amazing career options you have in New Zealand. So let's begin. First, the country of New Zealand. I've traveled to, I think, more than 24-25 countries. But for me, New Zealand is by far the most beautiful country I've been to. From the large cities of Auckland, Christchurch, Wellington, to those beautiful smaller cities, as well as the adventure places. Just driving through the landscape country, you will see greenery all through. Whether you're taking a drive, or you're taking a bike ride, or you're taking a train along the countryside, it is incredibly beautiful. You'll find sheep grazing across the mountains, to on the plains, and whichever time of the year you are in, New Zealand is a beautiful country to be in. So let's begin. New Zealand is geographically divided into the North Island and the South Island. North Island has the largest cities of Auckland, Hamilton, and the capital, Wellington. South Island has got Christchurch and Dunedin as the largest cities, but the South Island is where all of the adventure activities happen, and that is where you want to get to if you want to really get onto a really good holiday. The cities are beautifully organized, they are very well planned, they are very, very advanced in terms of infrastructure, in terms of transport, in terms of telecommunications. It's all very advanced. When you travel across the country of New Zealand, it's a real treat for the eyes. The greenery on one side, and when you look up, you'll probably see the blue sky you'll see anywhere else in the world. Now let's talk about the culture of New Zealand. Do you know the indigenous people of New Zealand are the Maori? I don't know if you've ever met a Maori person before, but they come out as huge, intimidating people. But believe me, they are probably the most friendliest people you'll find on the planet. I've interacted with a lot of Maori on my visits to New Zealand, and they are very proud about their culture. They are very happy to talk to you about their culture, show you around. And as a student, when you study in New Zealand, you're going to dive very deep into Maori culture. All universities, all polytechnics, all colleges have a lot of Maori culture ingrained in their syllabuses, as well as in the activities that they run for students. So as a student in New Zealand, you're not only going to get the best part of New Zealand with the economy and the jobs, you're also going to get ingrained into what is probably the oldest indigenous culture in the world, the Maoris. Do you know the Maori name for New Zealand is Aotearoa? Well, now you do. Now let's talk about what you can do in New Zealand as a student, as well as just traveling around the country. The adventure sports is probably the best in anywhere in the world. It compares well above the US and Canada for activities such as bungee jumping, skydiving, snowboarding, river rafting, jet boarding, and even the best mountains to take hikes on, right from one side of the island to the other side of the island. I personally traveled to New Zealand just for the adventure activities, and of course to meet all of our study and work abroad students and university partners. But when you get to New Zealand, you're going to find every activity like none other in the world. Students of study and work abroad have gone to New Zealand to study diplomas and degrees in adventure sports. Do you believe there are diplomas and there's a career that you can really build in New Zealand just based on adventure sports and the adventure activities and the adventure tourism? in New Zealand. There are bachelor's and master's degrees in adventure tourism, and there are specific diplomas only in adventure tourism, in adventure tourism marketing, and anything related to the adventure tourism industry in New Zealand. New Zealand probably has the highest number of fresh hot water springs than any other country in the world. The small country of New Zealand, because of its natural terrain and its location in that part of the world, is naturally built for very fresh hot water springs all over the country. So that was about adventures. Now let's talk about sports in New Zealand, my favorite topic. New Zealand has a lot of activities, a lot of sports that are played by the Kiwis as well as the internationals who go to New Zealand. The national sport of New Zealand is rugby, and the national team are called the All Blacks. They are the most successful rugby team in history, winning more than 5 World Cups, more than any other country in the world. As a student in New Zealand, if you travel anywhere in the country, they have a lot of rugby leagues, and as a student you will definitely get a chance to watch a rugby game in some city or the other. A lot of study and work abroad students have even gone to play rugby at the local levels or for their universities, and it's an amazing sport that is not very difficult to pick up. So as a student you have that opportunity also. But the more popular sport in New Zealand for us Indians is cricket. We all know about the New Zealand cricket team. They're called the Kiwis. The Kiwis are obviously named after the kiwi bird. We'll talk about that in another video. But a lot of universities have cricket as their main sport, and a lot of our students have actually gone on to try out and even play for their universities as well as play for local cricket teams. It's a huge sport in New Zealand. Even though they're a small country of less than 5 million people, they have one of the top 3 or 4 cricket teams in the world. So that was a little bit about New Zealand, about traveling around New Zealand, the sports in New Zealand, the culture. Now let's come to what we really want to discuss, right? And that is studying in New Zealand, universities in New Zealand, the education system in New Zealand, your visa applications, your post-study work rights, and of course actually making an application and your visa application to study in New Zealand. We will go to each of these points in a little detail. Please watch till the end. Study and work abroad has been sending students to New Zealand for the last 12 years, and I'm going to give you a lowdown on each of these aspects of studying in New Zealand. So let's begin with why you should study in New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the most advanced English-speaking countries in the world. Along with the US, UK, Canada, Australia, next comes New Zealand. It's got a very vibrant economy, a very vibrant stock market, a very vibrant tourism industry, and there's a lot of great career opportunities for you to take up in New Zealand. We've got students studying business, IT, tourism, adventure sports, but most importantly tourism, banking, finance. These are the largest industries that students in New Zealand are getting into. Why is education in New Zealand so lucrative? New Zealand follows the British education system, similar to Australia. They've got 3-year bachelor's degrees, 1 and 2-year master degrees, but it is mainly copied and follows the British education system. That means all of the degrees that you complete in New Zealand are world class. They are recognized all over the world. If you studied in New Zealand, you'll be able to find a job anywhere else in the world because the degrees in New Zealand are world recognized. Now let's talk about the education system in New Zealand. New Zealand's higher education system is divided into 3 parts. First are the universities. There are 8 universities in New Zealand, all of which fall among the top 350 US ranked universities in the world. The next are the ITPs or the polytechnics. These are government owned and run institutions, mainly focusing on vocational studies, IT, engineering, and they have degrees starting from level 4 at diploma level going up to level 8 and level 9 at the master's level. The third, and that is where a lot of Indian students get to, are the PTEs. They are the private tertiary education providers, or the private colleges as we most popularly call them. They also run a lot of business degrees, a lot of engineering degrees, a lot of IT degrees. They are the least priced, but equally recognized as any other institution in New Zealand. When I say equally recognized, New Zealand education system is governed by what is called the NZQF, the New Zealand Qualifications Framework. Whether it's a university or a polytechnic or a private college, they all come under the New Zealand Education Framework or the New Zealand Qualifications Framework. And that is why they will have to keep up with certain standards of the framework. And hence, whether you study at a university or a polytechnic or a private institution, you're going to get an equally recognized degree that is recognized internationally all over the world. So let's talk about post-study work rights now. You're going to study in New Zealand because you want to work, aren't you? So what are your work rights? When you study a diploma at any level, whether it's level 5, level 6, you get a 1-year post-study visa. The level 7 bachelor degrees, that is the degrees that are done over 3 years or 4 years, will give you a 3-year stay-back visa. The post-study level, that is the level 8 PG diplomas, give you a 1-year stay-back visa. But the most popular degrees that Indian students are going for in New Zealand are the master degrees. Those master degrees are either 1 or 1.5 years. Some of them are 2 years also with a research component. And those master degrees give you a 3-year stay-back visa. So you're studying 1.5 years of a master's and you get a 3-year stay-back. That 3 years of the post-study visa, it's time for you to look for a job, get employed at a certain level. And once you get employed at that level, you then become eligible to apply for your permanent residency so that you can then migrate and settle in New Zealand. Next, let's talk about applying to New Zealand. We at Study and Work Abroad have been sending students to New Zealand for more than a decade now. And we are experts with the application process, with the visa application process, and just helping you settle down into New Zealand. So what entails an application? You need the normal documents of all of your academics, starting from your 10th standard till your graduation, depending on what course you're studying. All applications need a statement of purpose. They need obviously your passport. They need an IELTS, depending at what level you've studied, an IELTS score or a PT score or a TOEFL score. We will help you get your application together and make your admission application to New Zealand. So let's now talk about actually applying to study in New Zealand. What does the application process entail? We at Study and Work Abroad have been sending students to New Zealand for more than a decade now, and all of our students have successfully granted admission and granted a visa. It starts with just basic documentation about your academics, your work experience. A very important document is your statement of purpose, and of course your English scores like the IELTS, PT, or the TOEFL, depending on what you choose to appear for. Next is the visa application process, and that also entails an interview with the visa officer. We will help you file your visa and assist you to every single part of the visa application, mainly the funding, the medical, and the getting you ready to handle your visa interview. Okay, so now let's discuss about moving to New Zealand with your family. New Zealand allows you to support your spouse and your child if you're an older student on a master's degree. That means if one person studies a master's degree for 1.5 or 2 years, the spouse gets a full-time work visa to work along with and live with the spouse during that period. If you have a child, your child can go to school, to a public school, which is free of cost, right up to the 12th grade. Once the student gets the post-study work visa for 3 years, the spouse also gets the extended 3-year work visa to be able to work full-time in the country, and that obviously leads you to permanent residency in New Zealand. Lastly, now let's discuss a very important topic. What career options do you have in New Zealand? The general notion is that New Zealand is all about tourism and hospitality. That definitely is the largest industry, especially for Indian students going there. A lot of students get into tourism, hospitality with some really lucrative jobs. But do you know the largest and most highest demand industry in New Zealand is actually engineering, construction, and information technology. Apart from that, there is also banking and finance. There are some amazing jobs that our students have got into, working with the large banks, working with the investment banks like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, as well as all of the big 4 accounting and consulting firms like E&Y and Deloitte. All of these look for students who have completed accounting degrees in New Zealand, MBAs in New Zealand, and look to pick up students who have studied these degrees to be able to work with them. Another very popular career option is health science, life sciences. All of those industries, all of those professions have very large career opportunities in New Zealand. Health science is a very high demand profession, and if you study a Masters of Health Science or a Masters of Healthcare, you are going to be able to get employed in the health science industry, in the healthcare industry, at a very high level. We've got students, wow, who are doctors, dentists, science, just normal science graduates who've studied Masters of Science degrees, Master of Health Science degrees in New Zealand, and have got some amazing job opportunities and are working in New Zealand till this date. So there you have it, your complete guide to studying in New Zealand. There's a lot more I want to talk about, so look out for my future videos on about studying in New Zealand. We also cover other countries like Canada and the UK, Australia, Germany and the US. I will be back with some more videos about studying in New Zealand. But to sum up now, New Zealand is a great country for Indian students to study. Whether you want to study a bachelor's or a master's degree, it's got great opportunities. We at Study and Work Abroad are going to guide you on choosing the right industry based on your profile. We will talk to you about career opportunities just based on my own experience, on our experience of our past students over the last 12 or 13 years. We at Study and Work Abroad will help you choose the right course, get you placed into the right university. As you know, New Zealand is one of the most affordable countries to study, and we will guide you through the entire process of making the application to your visa application to ultimately getting you to get to New Zealand and settle in there. We hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you have any queries or questions, put it in the comments below and you will hear from us very soon. Like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Please share the video with your family and friends for those who are looking to study abroad, especially in New Zealand. Thank you and see you in my next video.